All right, now that we've got intensity down, it's time to talk about focus. So, focus in a nutshell can be a number of different things. It can be, for example, where our lights are pointed at. Say we take these lights on the backdrop. They could be pointed in any number of different positions. But focus can be more than that. As we talked about in the last video with intensity, we can bring focus to our stage by turning on and off the lights, right? So we talked about intensity. We talked about, hey, turn off your front light for a minute and see where that moves the focus. In the last video, we weren't even moving the lights around. We were just turning on different sets of lights. But then say we move it around like this, right? I've taken my lights to the sky here, and then I've gone ahead with the front light and I've turned it off. Look how this makes the room feel really big and also takes the focus off of the performers and puts it out in the audience. Something like this can be really powerful in the middle of a set when whoever's on stage wants to put all that focus out on the audience, maybe to have them sing, maybe to talk to them, whatever. It gives people, not only does it give people a visual break from seeing, lights pointed at a stage all night, but it also helps just create that freshness and create that difference in focus throughout the night. And so, as we mentioned in the last video, we can use any of these tools to be able to really change the look on stage. So just by, working with some different sets of lights here, we're able to go ahead and, completely change how something looks. For example, maybe I go ahead with these lights and I give them, different focuses. So literally with my moving lights, if you have moving lights, you can program all sorts of different positions and different ways that they focus. But you don't have to have moving lights to employ focus. You certainly don't. Say, for example, I just, turn different sets of lights on or off that are pointed in different areas, right? These ones are at a cross pattern. These ones are at a downstage center pattern. Maybe during one point of a song, I turn on these other lights in the middle on my middle truss, right? And I go ahead and let me highlight those so you can see them. Boom. Those guys are bright. And I turn those on and I use those for a song or two. The cool thing about focus is that we're really able to change the way that people look at a stage by changing the lights that we have on. In fact, one other way we can use focus that we'll talk about later in the series is by spotlighting different performers on the stage. Like I have a spotlight here on just our lead singer guy, we can move that spot around to different areas of the stage as needed and as wanted to be able to highlight different members of the band. Of course, there's no band on stage in this imaginary stage, but you get the idea. And so the point I want to drive home, this is a short and sweet lesson, but focus doesn't have to be, you don't have to keep all your lights in the same place all night. You probably knew that. But more than that, focus is really about being able to whether you've got moving lights, non-moving lights, whatever you've got, focus is really about going ahead and having the ability to move things around, to shift where people's eyes go throughout the point of a set. And so it's kind of abstract because when we think about focus, we usually think about, okay, pan and tilt, lights that literally, move, right? So we just blind ourselves out here. But it can also be used to, just like I mentioned before, turn certain lights on or off during certain parts of the set to move people's eyes to different places. So you can see here one last look is, taking the front lights down pretty low or off, and then having these guys on the back here and using them to give a higher focus, to focus the energy, to focus the lighting up higher in the room and still being lighting the performers. And so with focus, there's really so much we can do. I'm just starting to crack the shell open on this one, but I want to leave you there because our 5 minutes are about up for today, and I'm trying to keep these to time because I know your time is valuable. But just think about today. Next time you're in front of a lighting console, or you know you're going to be, start to think about ways that you can change people's focus. And so we're not thinking about as much like, oh, this pattern of the lights versus that pattern versus that pattern versus that pattern. It's more about, okay, how do I change the way that people are looking at the lights? How do I change their focus so then I can go ahead and really make an impact on the show and keep things fresh as we go? Awesome. So if you've been enjoying this, I'll keep this short and sweet. Continue supporting us on Patreon. Your support there really helps me build out more free stuff via YouTube and the podcast. And of course, if you're interested in Learn Stage Lighting Labs, look below and I'll have a link there. It's a bunch of courses and other information to really shortcut your way to lighting success. But hey, we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to finally put some colors in these lights. I'm so excited. We'll see you there.